What should we expect at BlizzCon 2018 for Overwatch? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Stylosa and this is Unit Lost. In this video, we're going to break this down into 3 categories. Likely, not likely, and shooting for the stars. Those are, of course, the features that we are all dreaming about, and if any of them happen, we will absolutely lose our collective minds, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let's go back in time. Let's go back to 2016. We had Sombra, a map, and a feature. Now, 2016 was a very special year for me. Probably the highlight of my career. I got to stream Sombra world first straight after the announcement. And remember, Sombra was mega hyped. It was all over the internet, and then there was me playing it. It was an insane time. Holy hell, it was ridiculous. So we got a hero. Then we get a map, although the map wasn't actually finished for BlizzCon. They had a lot of concept art. They showed us little bits and pieces of Oasis, but they didn't actually let us play it at BlizzCon because it wasn't ready. And then we got a new feature. This was the arcade. Of course, this wasn't available in the game before BlizzCon 2016. Then we go forward to 2017. Now we get a hero. We also get a map. So we get Moira, we get Blizzard World. That's kind of it. We did have a much bigger Overwatch World Cup, but during 2017, a lot of the development team was focused on Overwatch League. They were trying to build the back-end systems, the replay systems, well, or rather the spectator systems. We'll get onto replay systems a bit later on, ladies and gentlemen, but they were building the spectator systems, all of the special particle effects for the teams, building their skins, the kits, all of that stuff. A lot of effort went into Overwatch League, and of course, as we know, Overwatch League was successful. So all we really got in 2017 was a map and a hero. So what should we be expecting from 2018 BlizzCon? Well, before we get into this, let's think about what the team have actually been doing this year. Let's think about, I don't want to be too harsh here and say minimal content output, but we've got a massive drought of lore. The events have been recycled. What are they doing? We know Overwatch League is fairly finished, although I'm sure they're still doing work on that. But what about their time? What have they actually been doing? Yes, they've given us heroes, but we know heroes are always in development anyway. So what's actually going on with the team's time? So what is most likely that we see at BlizzCon 2018? A hero. Hero 29, definitely. We'll see this. Now, what will this hero be? Will it be a tank? Will it be DPS? Will it be support? I would like to see Maximilian as a character. He is the evil Omnic. If you guys go back and read the Masquerade comic, the Doomfist comic, he's in the casino. It would be really cool to see him, maybe as some type of evil Zen kind of support. I think that would be really cool. Will that happen? I don't know. In terms of heroes that I don't kind of want to see, or classifications of heroes that I don't want to see, probably DPS, although you could argue we maybe could do with more DPS heroes, but then a lot of people play DPS anyway, and that's a whole other argument. So I would either like to see a support or a tank. Now, we've just had a tank in Wrecking Ball or Hammond, so probably it's going to be a support, at least. That's where I'd be going. But then we've just got Brigitte, then we've got Wrecking Ball, so it's a DPS slot. Who really knows, ladies and gentlemen? The fact is, we will get a new hero. It'll be very strange if they do not give us a hero at BlizzCon, because it's one of their biggest announcements that they generally do. New map. Payload map, probably. That time we had a new payload map. It might be any kind of map. We don't know. We've just had a control map. We've got a 2CP map in Horizon Lunar Colony fairly recently. Maybe we could get a hybrid map. We'll have to wait and see where that goes. But yeah, new hero, new map, definitely. So what about the new feature? What could this be? Well, I think the safe money is on enhanced social features. We know through various interviews that have been conducted with the developers, in fact, interviews that I've recorded and put onto my channel. I was lucky enough to go to Korea this year, and I was able to record an interview with some of the devs in which they did say, yeah, we view our approach to the social features, the LFG system endorsements, as the crawling phase. We want to ramp it up to the walking phase. So is that what we're going to see at BlizzCon? And what would that look like? Would that be guilds? Would that be role select in solo queue? I think that's still a bit of an outside shot. But yeah, I'm pretty sure what we're going to see, new hero, new map, enhanced social features. That is what you would go into BlizzCon expecting to see. If you don't get those and we get less than that, or we just get a new hero, or we don't even get a hero and we get a map or whatever, that would be a major disaster. So I don't think they would ever do that, because remember, BlizzCon is their massive expo. It's where they show all of their new stuff off. And maybe we get an animated short. The last animated short we got was the Diva animated short, so it kind of makes sense that, yeah, they would have another one ready. It's a bit of a shame that it took from November last year all the way up to literally a month ago or 2 months ago this year for the Diva animated short to drop before we got another one. So I'm hoping that they've got one in kind of stock, which they're going to show us at BlizzCon, because it'll be super hype, right? BlizzCon, massive platform, get that animated short out there. Okay, so what's not likely at BlizzCon? What shouldn't you really be expecting? Now, you shouldn't really be expecting anything to do with Overwatch League announcements. This is things like new teams, player transfers, anything like that. Overwatch Contenders as well. This is the league below Overwatch League, if you kind of look at it that way, although it's kind of not, but let's just roll with that because it's an easy way to explain it. And Overwatch 2. You're not going to see these things. Overwatch 2 is never really going to happen because they're just going to keep building on the game they've got now and expanding it. It is the Overwatch universe. Look at World of Warcraft. There is not a World of Warcraft 2. I think they've learned from that sort of development of that game that this is the way forward. You build a IP and then you just grow that world. So I think that's what we're going to see with Overwatch. Now, what is shooting for the stars, ladies and gentlemen? What are things that we would love to see? And if we do see them, we collectively lose our mind at BlizzCon. And we go crazy. And I break down and I can't believe what I'm seeing and all of this good stuff. Well, what about the single-player story mode? This is something which people have been teasing. Well, maybe not teasing, but people have been willing into existence for a while now. We know that they've hired Alicia Wong. She's a writer. She's an award-winning writer. She's obviously been brought on to develop the story of Overwatch. They've also hired other people in this department as well. But could this be too soon? Now, these people have only really been with the company for a year. Is that enough time for them to start producing content, for things to start getting made, for development of systems like that? Now, if we look at things like Retribution and even the Uprising event before that, they do have the facility to add basic AI into the game, to give us boss fights, kind of, and allow us to progress through that kind of way. Now, a single-player story mode could be something like this with a series of maps which you play through in a group. It would be great if this was a full Overwatch group as well, 6 players, not just a 3 or 2 group thing, a full group that you play through, and it's almost like a raid, like from Destiny or like a dungeon. Something like that would be really, really cool. Will that happen though? I don't know. In the back of my mind though, there's, like I said at the start of this video, there's a lot of dead dev time here. What have the devs been doing? Why have they not been making new events? Why are they not? What are they doing? Jeff came out and said, hey, we're not making new events because we're focusing on other stuff. We're focusing on hero balance updates. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't think making hero balance updates actually takes that much time. The Overwatch team is fairly big as well. This isn't like 10 guys sitting in a room who are like, hey. No, it's a big team. They have the resources and the manpower to do some outstanding stuff. And we know this because if we look at Overwatch, we look at all the events that we had through the first year and the second year of the game, all of the new stuff that was coming out, it was great. It was fantastic. Each event better than the last event. It was awesome. So what have they been doing? Now, on the topic of story mode, what about major lore development? This is something I'd really like to see because right now we have no real way of following the lore of Overwatch. You'd have to go back and read loads of various comics. It's all disjointed. It's all over the place. It's not in a nice, coherent place where it's packaged and delivered to you. Like, I could not tell you right now what the point of Overwatch is. We know that Winston has done the recall, so various agents are being recalled. And we know Soldier's a bit of a lone gun. We know, Anna's got a little bit of story going on. Brigitte's Torb's daughter, and she likes Reinhardt. Reinhardt's got a bit of history with the way he was removed from Overwatch. Widowmaker, what's the whole story with her husband? There's just so much stuff going on here that we really don't know. All over the place. It needs to be unified, and we need to have a direction. And one thing I hope is that we start getting actual real-time story, not story in the past. I don't care about what's happened in the past. I don't want to see animated shorts show me origin stories of heroes. I want to see things that force the story forward. A major crisis happens. This is happening right now. It's in the game. Things start happening. Things start changing. That's what I want to see. That's how you make this world real. That's how you make it dynamic. You don't make it static, right? That's what I'd love to see. So what about a full-blown expansion? This is another completely wild idea, something that I'd like to see, something I think would, and I don't want to use the word save Overwatch, because Overwatch is obviously in a really good position anyway, but really bump up its player figures, really bring people back to the game. This would have to be ridiculous. This would have to be like entire new factions added to the game. This could be tied into major lore development. It could be tied into single player. There's loads of things they could do with this, maybe new game modes. Just go crazy, ladies and gentlemen, what you'd like to see in an Overwatch expansion. What about new competitive game modes? Now, I just touched on that, but we've got the same old game modes we've had since launch, right? And I mean in actual ranked. I don't mean the mini competitive modes we get like Lucio Ball or the free-for-all and things like that. I mean actual competitive modes, different ways of playing the game. Maybe they're not looking at developing new ways of playing the game. Maybe they're just happy with what they've got. But I think it would be cool if we could see new types of game modes. Now, here are things that I would really like to see that I think would really help the game. Replays. We really, really need a replay tool in the game. I have seen various tools that are used at Overwatch League, and I am a bit perplexed why we don't have these available to us. Although, that being said, they are kind of a bit, you'd need to have, let's say, some sort of familiarity, if I could speak, ladies and gentlemen, with using a computer. You know, the UI is not great, you know, things like that, but it does kind of work, right? I want to see replays because I want to be able to go back and watch my game in real time in the game engine, not watching a video back, and watch from everybody's perspective, watch how people played, watch how I got outplayed. That would be insane. Also, of course, it would mean I could make Overanalyzed 1,000% better because I could show you absolutely every angle of the fight. It would be ridiculous. So replays, I hope this happens soon. Theater mode. Now, there's a game called Fortnite, ladies and gentlemen, that has been adding quite a lot of features over its short lifespan. Now, obviously, it's not as complex as Overwatch, but it adds things like replays pretty much straight away. It has a theater mode, which allows you to make machinima, so like in-game movie-style stuff. It's now just announced an in-game tournament system. Yeah, so where's our in-game tournament system? That's my next shooting for the stars, ladies and gentlemen. I'd love it if we could play like a Masters weekly tournament, Platinum weekly tournament. You could play in these. It'd be so cool. Imagine the reward, right? You win one of these tournaments, you get a special spray. It's hard to win a tournament, so it's much more rewarding than just grinding away on ladder, hoping to get GM to get, I don't know, well, you don't actually get a guaranteed golden weapon from GM, but to get a lot of competitive points, or trying to get top 500 for the spray and the avatar. I think that would be much cooler and it'd be much more rewarding experience. What about a competitive overhaul? This is another thing which could potentially be something, you know, I think a lot of players would like to see. Why not reset SR? Why not take everyone back to basics? Now, I don't think they'll ever do that because they won't throw away all the statistics they've been recording for years, but it might give people that fresh mentality of, hey, you know what? I can actually go back into the game now, fresh, and learn the game again. Could be an option. There's a lot of other issues with competitive as well, the way some of the systems work, the way you get penalized when people leave on your team, a lot of stuff, right? Could they be looking at a way of redeveloping it? Remember, they did redevelop competitive from its very first format. The first form of competitive, you kind of didn't lose. Everybody would gain rank over time. It was very weird. Then they introduced the fact that you could lose SR, and they changed the whole sort of SR system and all of that stuff. So it is something which is within the realms of possibility. Role select. Good old role select, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I touched on this at the start of the video. Role select, maybe this is an enhanced social feature. I'm hoping that right now the devs realize that people play solo queue. They do not play LFG. LFG is a good system on the face of it, but it's like playing Overwatch on hard mode. You're going up against groups of organized players. And God forbid you go up against an actual group or a team of players, they will annihilate you. They will absolutely annihilate you. So how do most people play this game? They click not quick play, they click the button next to quick play, competitive. They sit there in a queue, they hope they get a team where they can play the hero they want, and then they go into the game. They either do get that team or they don't get that game, and if they don't get that team, then that game is terrible, then they come off. So the way to fix this is to go, yes, Mr. Stylosa, you'd like to queue as a tank, a main tank. You're queuing as a Reinhardt and a Winston and an Orisa. Congratulations, you will be put in a team with no other player that will play Winston, Reinhardt, and Orisa. Thank you. That could be something we see. Shooting for the stars a little bit, I think. I'd love to see it. Now, what about reveal the development plan? What about telling us as players what the hell you are doing? Because sometimes we can feel quite disconnected. We don't know what's going on. This year feels like... So this is going to sound really harsh, but this feels like the dev team are just like, YOLO, we've made a game that got loads of players. We don't really care anymore. Yeah, that's what it can look like from the outside because we're not getting loads of new content the rate we used to get. We're not getting major announcements. We're not getting developer updates very frequently. We hardly get them anymore. The fact is, once you commit to making this content, you need to follow through. You need to keep making this content. If you don't, then you are going to suffer. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. But I would like them to reveal development plans. I'd like them to tell us what they're doing. Like, hey guys, we're working on this. Now, the reason why they don't say this is because sometimes they might have to go back on what they've said. Oh, actually, we don't actually have this ready yet. Oh, no. And it causes a lot of negative backlash, or at least they say. One of the most recent examples was Jeff saying that the new social features would be out at the end of summer. Of course, they're not. And then he was saying that actually they'll be out next year. Okay. So there is a little bit of fear there from the developers, I think. But still, it would be nice to know what the hell they're doing. And finally, new events. I mean, there's probably Junkenstein footage in the background of this video, just because it's easy for me to jump on and get footage, just because I'm not having to go into competitive games and hope that my team is not throwing the match, and so I'm spending hours trying to record one game because, you know, it looks terrible if everyone's throwing. The events, I hardly play them anymore. Lucio Ball, I hardly played it. Junkenstein's Revenge, I would have played it for 27 minutes if I didn't use it to record footage. That's the reality of this. That's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Now, maybe they're happy with this. Maybe they're happy with people just logging in for 20 minutes every 3 months. Or, well, every 2 months. I wouldn't be happy with that. I think that's terrible. So I cannot, for the life of me, believe, ladies and gentlemen, just to wrap this video up, that they do not have something planned for us very soon. Or they do not have a really big announcement to hit us with. Whether that's at BlizzCon, whether that's after BlizzCon, I don't know. This is a big team. This is a very successful team. It's a team of some of the best developers in the entire gaming industry. They're not going to accept their game to just sort of truck along like, hey, it's fine, it's cool. No, they're going to want to do things. They're going to want to push the envelope. That's what they do. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa and this is Unit Lost. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then like the video, and remember, you can click the bell so you'll get updated or alerted to when new videos go live, and you can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Toodaloo.